Hello, this is Brainwash with Gerald. Podcasting from beautiful South Jersey. Brainwash, the podcast that cleans your brain. Hey, welcome to the podcast. It's May 18. We are in day 60 blah 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 of the lockup. I almost said annual lockup because it seems like this virus is not going to go away. I am podcasting to tell you about Shakespeare, but for some reason I get sidetracked by reality. The reality is that we are in a some sort of lockdown, and if you're listening 1,000 years from now, we're not really suffering. It's no, let me rephrase that. Not all of us are suffering. I mean, it's not easy, and but it's certainly not the plague or famine or what have you. It sucks. It sucks for a lot of people, but it is what it is. We have a community or a government who tries to deal with this as much as they can. I'm still coughing. I think it's the pollen. It would be ironic if I would be dead in a few weeks, but anyway, let's not make jokes about that. That's called tempting fate. We don't want that. So the virus is still among us. And every day the newspapers are full of stories about how people are coping with it, how bad it is for the economy. The economy. Oh, here we go. That's something I just can't get my head around. The economy. People talk about the economy as if they are talking about some sort of ship that's going in a certain direction at a certain speed. The economy, that word by itself is not even covering what it actually means. The economy is not one thing. It's a million. It's a billion. No. It's 7, whatever, how many people there are on Earth. That's how many economies there are. Everybody is its own economy. We have come to a point in history that we try to dump down everything like we are living in the Middle Ages. I'm not kidding. The economy is a complex web of billions of factors that's not able to be controlled as easy as we think it is. At the same token, like an oil tanker, if it's moving, it's moving. It doesn't stop. It's going to take a long time to make it stop, and it's not going to stop. The economy is is as long as we eat and drink and breathe, there is an economy. So people are always worried about, the economy is bad, look at the Dow Jones index, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. That Dow Jones index is stock index. That's only a small part of the economy. I also don't understand why, if you listen to even NPR news every day, the stock index is part of the news. That's not how you measure the economy. Why don't you measure how happy people are, or how healthy people are, or the new ideas that have been developed, or how many artists are able to make a living? That's how you measure an economy, not by the wealth of a handful of people. If you think about it, that doesn't mean that the stock market is bad. I don't think so. I think everybody should download the Stash app or something, or E-Trade, something like that, and just buy $10 worth of stock, whatever. Just buy be part of it. That's good. It's a good thing. You deserve a share of this. You deserve a share of the economy. See, my issue with dumbing things down is that, and now I'm coming back to the name of this podcast, brainwashed. People are brainwashed. You and I, of course, I'm as well. We are brainwashed to think that the economy is something we don't have any control over. It's something that's too big to understand. So that's why we think it's some sort of vessel or whatever. Because we are misinformed, because we are brainwashed, we don't really understand the economy. And that is partially why we are living in a society where the inequalities are historical. This has never happened that one guy is about to become a trillionaire. That's how insane is that? I mean, that's no one in history has ever reached that level of wealth. That's just ridiculous. Sorry, Jeff Bezos. You might own this Spotify website. I don't even know, but Jesus Christ. And then the first thing is that it's not his fault. I don't think when he started he went out in 1994. 1994, remember, 1994. He's been around for 26 years. It's absolutely insane to think about that. But he's been around for all these years. I don't think he went. He started this company thinking, "Oh, I'm going to dominate the world." He was just thinking, "Oh, this is cool. This is a cool new tool at the internet. I'm going to use that to sell books." And then from books came pens, and from pens came tote bags, whatever you. And before you know it, you buy your socks from Amazon and your sex toys, whatever. That's how they got big, actually, freaking sex toys. Just like VHS got big with porno, but that's on the side. So we live in a world where people are actually afraid to mingle in the economy. And why is that? And I think that's more here in the US than anywhere else. Why is that? It's because if you want a part of the wealth, you are immediately deemed a socialist, henceforth a criminal, a tyrant, a mass murderer. And people go as far to say that even the Nazis, who called themselves National Socialists, they were also socialists. So if you are asking for a decent wage in healthcare, you are basically a Nazi. So people are very careful with asking for their fair share. Which means that right now in the US, I think that if you calculate the income levels and you correct, you apply the inflation correction, the wages haven't gone up much since the 70s, I believe. The wages of the workers, the wages of the owner class have been skyrocketing. And nobody seems to care. And nobody thinks, oh, wait a minute, fair share? The one thing that people have lost out of sight is the idea that the earth, it belongs to all of us. So the proceeds of the earth should also belong to all of us. So anything that's growing, everything in the waters, on the land, everything that's being mined, that's us. That's part of us. But we own that. But we have created a society where we are able to give a share of our earth without any compensation to a small group of people. That's the fact. And this small group of people, again, I'm not saying they're evil, but I think if I would be a merchant, I'd probably do the same thing. But these small group of people have created basically our reality. They have created a system of commerce that includes media, education, um, entertainment, you name it, in which we are led to believe that this is how it's supposed to be, that this is that the market equates capitalism. And here, I think this is what the crux is. The crux is that because we are led to believe that the market equates capitalism, we can't really see how influence works on the market. But in fact, if you just look at how we are organized in society, the market itself is a neutral space. The market is from like the forum back in or the town square, whatever you want to call it. People would get together and they would bring in their goods and sell them. That's the market. The market is a neutral space. So in the market, we are all in the market. We are all part of that market. We're tiny little parts, but we are in that market. So if all these little tiny parts get together and all buy Coca-Cola, then suddenly Coca-Cola is a huge player in that market. Not because we buy all that stuff. And because it's a huge player in that market, it can influence other elements of the market. So in the United States, the market it's a huge collection of all kinds of influences, businesses, you name it, lobby groups, trade groups, unions. Everybody is active on that market, and nothing really changes much. And then if you look, and just other extreme, North Korea is supposedly a communist country. In North Korea, the whole market, which is there, is dominated by one player, the government. That's the market. The government tells you what to eat, what to drink, where to live. And then there's a black market somewhere. The black market, it's like a tiny little aspect of this society. And then you go to Europe. In Europe, I think the difference between Europe and the US is that the collective, if you want to call it that, or the government plays a bigger role on the market. So the government has a bigger role in determining what the rules are on the market. Rules as in minimum wage, healthcare provisions, etc. And also the workers themselves have a more influence. So a lot of unemployment insurances are broker initiatives. Most countries, the government only jumps in if there's, at the end of the road. So if you're unemployed, you're just like here, you pay into an unemployment fund, and you'll get your wages paid for the next half year. And then in Europe, it's usually it starts with about 80%, and here it's just it's just a small fee in comparison. So the market is not equal to capitalism. Capitalism is just a player on the market. So the purpose of capitalism is to maximize profit. That's what it is. Capitalist organizations have no morals, are just there to make money. And here what you see is that the capitalists, the people who want to make money, are using their influence to widen their stance. So what they're doing is they already took healthcare. So healthcare here in the US is profit-based, which means that when you think about that, the healthcare system is profit-based. So you're sick, that means that you're an asset. That's good. You're healthy, not good. So how much information do you see online about healthy living, exercise, you name it, sponsored by the healthcare industry? Almost zero. I mean, of course, people proclaim healthy living, of course, but that's other businesses. So you have to buy the businesses who want to sell you healthy drinks or healthy clothes to make to exercise in, or to run in, or choose to run in, or what have you. But you don't see a large government initiative like you see in Europe to help people to get outside, exercise, eat healthy, so that you'll be less depending on medication. You can live a longer, healthier, more valuable life. Here, and I know, and this is not, podcast is not to be meant as an American bashing. I love this country. Don't get me wrong, but there is obesity is a much bigger problem here, and mostly because people don't eat very well and they don't move much. They just get out of the house. And even, hold on, they don't even get out of the house. They get out of the bed, they roll into their cars, they drive to work, sit down, drive back to work, go behind the TV. That's it. That's fucking it. All right, the biggest scandal to me is and this is a little bit of sidetrack, but the biggest scandal to me is the fact that because of bad nutrition, children do not develop to their full potential. If you are a young child, you need certain nutrition to develop, to actually grow your brain. And if you don't get that, if you only eat fucking trash, I just can't stand the most disgusting thing one of the most disgusting things I've seen is like, you see these little kids in strollers with a bag full of French fries. Are you out of your mind? An iPad in one hand and a French fries in the other. Yeah, now my kid's happy. No, he's not. You're gonna kill him. Stupid. Ugh. But anyway, so I was talking about the kids. That's one thing. The people are getting dumber, and that has to do with the fact that they just don't eat well. And unfortunately, you see that popping up in other countries as well, because what have we been taught? So, quote unquote, what have we been taught? First of all, that we have to eat 3 meals a day. Who came up with that? I don't know, but it was probably someone who wanted to sell food. 3 meals a day. That's what we are supposed to eat. And then now we have, and the schools are instrumental in this. Now we have the right to a snack. We have to have a snack. So if you're a kid, you get like a little granola bar or an apple. That's good. That's I have nothing wrong with that. But if you're a lot of adults, they have this pattern like, oh, it's time for a snack. So you're in the car, you're hungry. So there's it's snack time. Are you gonna stop at the supermarket or the Wawa to buy like a little granola bar, or are you gonna stay in your car and go like, I'll have a little, I'll just have one hamburger, one taco Bell, whatever. And you stop at the fast food place and you see this pictures and you go like, and before you know it, you have a 2,000 calorie meal on your lap. That's the snack, people. That's the snack. Anyway, so I was talking about the market. So the market is a neutral space, and so for many years, I was very idealistic and loved the idea of democracy. I said, well, the democracy is part of the market, so if there's a problem, sanity will prevail and we will change it. As if democracy is a part of the market, which it is, but it doesn't work like that. You have to have an active government to actually change things, and that's what happened with, for instance, the environmental measures. Have you seen pictures of your own town in the 60s and 70s when there were still coal burning plants and cars would blow out whatever they were blowing out of their exhaust pipes? A lot of wood stoves burning, a lot of coal heating. It was disgusting. At rivers, people just dumped everything in the oceans, in the rivers. The Pacific trash chute. You heard about that, right? The Pacific trash chute. But it's basically San Francisco's trash. For many, many years, they would have these large ships go out and dump them into the ocean. Yeah. Brainwashed. So so the question is, of course, first of all, who am I to tell you what to think about economy? That's a good question. I'm not an economist. I do. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert in an economy, but I am a consumer and I'm a part of society, just like you and I are. And so I think, you have a responsibility. I have a responsibility, and you can, and you have to take that responsibility. And you can do simple things. Just be an example. Pick up trash. Yeah, actually, not to boast or anything, but I have been running like everybody else lately, and I was just irritated by the amount of trash that's lying around, flying around. A lot of plastic bottles, you know. So I actually bought one of those things you can pick up trash with. Got a big trash bag and just walk down there and clean it all up. And then a few weeks later, it's all back there again. So I have to go out, do it again. But I think that's one thing you can do. Just do things. Second of all, is think healthy and live healthy. And then and at the same token, you really, really have to pressure your maybe your government or special interest group to take some action, because the way it's going now, I don't think it's going into the right direction. I think the right direction is a society where all of us can live in a way that's somewhat pleasant, at least. I mean, how many people are dying and look back at their lives and they just see 60 years of work and stress? I've never seen a Shakespeare play. I've never seen another country. I've never tasted champagne. I mean, is that what defines a rich, healthy life? No, but what I'm saying is that what does define a good life? Well, that's something you have to figure out for yourself, I'm afraid. But the point is, and I'm repeating that word again. No, I can edit it. But the reason I'm saying is this. Now the question is, what can you do yourself? What you shouldn't do is what I've done too much. Argue on Facebook with douchebags who think that if you ask for a decent wage, you are introducing a new world government. That doesn't make any sense. See, my take on this is that we are moving into a very different form of. We are moving in a whole new society. And we have no clue where we're going. And what we see now is something you can actually compare with First World War, World War One, the big one. World War One was so devastating because, and that's how historians sum it up, because in World War One we had like an 18th century war practices fought. World War One was so devastating because there were armies who had 18th century strategies fighting with 20. The reason why World War I was so devastating was the fact that there were 18th. The reason why World War I was so devastating was the fact that the strategies of the reason why World War I was so devastating was the fact that 18th century strategies were applied with 21st century weapons. You remember those movies where people like line up and they all walk together? That's how they fought the Civil War. That's how they fought for hundreds of years. And and if you fight with spears or bows and arrows, that's something different. But now you have Gatling guns and mustard gas and planes throwing bombs. They never didn't adapt, and now we have the same thing. We see the same thing in the economy. We see these huge companies just doing the thing. I mean, I'm not. I mean, you can talk about bad intentions, but it's a whole different show. But that, I think, companies like Apple and Microsoft, it just happened. Who could have thought that everybody at some point had to have a computer, more than one computers at home? But again, that's another topic. But we have these companies who don't know what to do with them. Literally, don't know what to do with their money. Like Google is making some ridiculous amount of money because they're basically working on a 20th century premise, like the same way newspapers made their money, but through advertisement. But they're not. It's not newspapers. It's a whole different medium. And the worst thing is that we're clueless. We don't know what the hell is going on. And if you look at it, so what you have to do is look at it from a different perspective. What are we looking at? The internet. What is the internet? Think about it. What is the internet? We're not a collection of newspapers you can access at any time, or a collection of, or it's not a, you can combine the library, news, the video store. I mean, that's not how you think about it. It's the internet is basically a huge planet, and the real estate of that planet, even though we supply the real estate, we supply content. But you supply content to a planet that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we can only access that planet. We can only access that planet through separate gates where we have to pay for it. There's like basically toll keepers. So you either pay for it, or you have to go through someone's showroom. So they say, you want to have access to the planet? Well, either pay for it, or you have to walk through this shopping mall. That's basically what it does. And so I'm with his name Andrew Yang with this. Like we have to get that real estate back. That's us. We building that. If I make a video on YouTube, it could be a shitty 10-second video, or it could be a video me and my friends have been working on for 2 weeks. That's content. That's real estate. So if you think about the internet as real estate, and everything that's on it belongs to us. I have my piece. You have your piece. The more you do, the bigger your real estate is. And the real estate should have some value to you, not just to Google. Because that's the only way I think for sure that's the only thing that whole thing can work. If we can capitalize the entire internet. And we have the technology to do that. So that means that, let me give you an example. Like, if you watch an advertisement, I should get paid. Why? I don't understand why Google gets paid so that I can watch an ad. That doesn't make any sense. So if I open a YouTube video and I see an ad, I should get paid. And let's say you just paid in you create a new economy. You pay let's call it ticks. So I pay ticks. So if you see a video clip of a song I like, I play 5 ticks. I get 5 ticks of my discounted. I get 5 ticks taken off my account. And I should find a way to add ticks. So I can add ticks on my account by posting things. If people watch it, they give me ticks. And if I watch an ad, I get ticks. If I watch, you can also explain it to the government. If I give the government information about myself, I can get ticks. I think we should actually, like when we talk about a government, yeah, we should. Why not? We should actually think about getting rid of taxes and turning them into ticks. We should have people pay in information instead of money. The money is yours. You worked for it. But you do need the government services, but so you can make the government work more efficient if they have more information. If live healthy, you get more ticks. You can have, everybody has nowadays a Fitbit, so you can actually calculate if I live healthy, how much is that going to save society or the insurance companies, whatever. A lot. We can. These are all very complex calculations, but we can make them because we have the technology to do that. Am I talking about a Big Brother kind of world? No. You have, the whole point of Big Brother is that you don't have control, but here you are in control. You're in control of where your information is going, who can see what. Now there's no control, and it's getting even worse. So all the thing that belongs to you should belong to you. So if you should, there's no reason for someone to get to know you and see if you're a potential customer. That's fine, but as long as if he or she pays you to watch his pitch or his products, nothing wrong with that. I'm more afraid of Big Brother right now than I would be in a world where everything is being ticked, so to speak. Ticked. And that's where we have to go to. We have to get to a world where we have our fair share. I mean, it's like, imagine in the olden days, you know what? The olden days when the homesteaders moved west. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the issue of who owns the land. I mean, that's another topic. But I'm just talking about the idea of you go to a certain place, you take off all the trees and you clean the ground and you turn it into land to grow stuff on. And then someone comes in and says, "Thank you so much," and then you have to work on it, and then you have to give that person a share of your income. I mean, that's how it is. You work, you do the work, you make the video, you make the blog, you make the what have you. Even the Facebook post and Twitter post, that's all content. Instagram, you make all that and help, and that gives companies like Google and Facebook more data. Every post you make is more data for them to create your profile. That profile they make money off. You don't, and you should own that profile. That's yours. But we are clueless, and that brings me back to, first of all, to brainwash. Yeah, brainwash. You're being brainwashed to think everything will be all right. We are the big government, blah, 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 or we are big companies. We can take care of you. Blah 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 blah. No, they're not. Nobody's taking care of you. You have to take care. We should be allowed to take care of it ourselves. And that's the big paradox of this time. And that's, I think it's fascinating and scary and beautiful all at the same time. Look, we have these networks, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and it's fascinating to see that there's no way we can organize people. It was easier to organize a strike in the late 1800s, early 1900s, just by printing a few pamphlets and get something done than pressure companies with using masses of people nowadays. It's people are being shamed on a mass scale, yeah. But is anyone going after Google or Apple? No, because now we are living in a world where we are all kings. So I'm not going to listen to what you're telling me to do. Who made you the leader of this? And that's a problem. That is a problem. That's another thing. So why can't we have companies like Uber being organized as a collective? Why do you have a company that has to benefit a few people with billions of dollars, while other people bring in both capital and labor? That's the ironic part of it. So capital and labor are now brought in by the same person, and still they're getting screwed. That's insane. And why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we make an app by people who are just saying, listen, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get paid so and so much. And I don't care if they get a lot of, get them paid, give them a lot of money, but do they necessarily have to own everything as well? Wouldn't you get all the drivers on your side if you give them part of the company? I would kill Uber right away. I wish that, yeah. So how come that doesn't happen? No, I think that doesn't happen because we've been programmed. We have been told that we cannot allow totalitarianism. That's the new world, the new government, the new world order, which is bullshit. We should be the new world. We should be the new world order. So the only thing you can do is be yourself, and just don't believe everything people say. Jesus Christ, question everything. And that's what I like to. That's why I wanted to do it about Shakespeare. All right. So I have to admit I'm rewriting Hamlet. Yeah, that's another project. I'm rewriting Hamlet, and so there's a scene in the beginning. I think it's Act 1, Scene 4. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Pull it up. Act 1, Scene 4. So Hamlet is standing on the platform in front of the castle at the Sant. Remember the Sant, Elsinore? They try to get people to pay tolls to cross the Sant. So they're outside waiting for the ghost to show up, and then suddenly there's this noise, a flourish of trumpets, and ordnance shut off within. All right, and then you see Horatio saying, "What does this mean, my lord?" And then Hamlet, "No worries, it's just Poland." Hamlet answers, "The king doth wake tonight and takes his road, keeps wassail, and the swaggering upspring reels. And as he drains his draughts of Rhenish down, the kettle drum and trumpet display out the triumph of his pledge." And then, so I was checking a few of those websites where they explain Shakespeare, translate Shakespeare, and they will tell you that there's a party going on in the castle, and that's hence the gunshots and the trumpets. And then I'm thinking, who the hell is reading this? Are you fucking reading this thing? Yes or no? It says the king wakes up at night and he has to go pee, and because he pees, that's why that's why they sound the horn, because that's a triumph. And it's just a way of showing how preposterously rich these people are. That's what they do. They're like, oh, the king has peed. Long live the king. He drains his drafts of Rhenish down. Draining the pipe. I mean, there's no other meaning to that. You drain something, you let it go. You don't drain. You don't drain. You can maybe drain a barrel, but that doesn't make any sense. Drain a barrel. Yeah. No, I think it's a. And besides, it says that the king doth wake tonight. So he wakes up and takes his rouse. The triumph of his pledge. The pledge is like a donation to the royal peapot. Anyway, so that's an example of how you can look at this case, Hamlet. So forget what it says in the book. You can make up your own thoughts. What Hamlet or what Shakespeare has written, the meaning you give to it is the meaning you've been taught, not the meaning you came up with yourself. Think about that. This was Brainwash. Thanks for listening.